Mortality has always been one of the things that's hard to talk about. It's a taboo. You wouldn't casually tell a 7-year-old, hey, did you know everyone dies someday? But what if you have to? What if you really need to tell the kid they're going to pass away? What if you have to make them understand that they don't have enough time? This is what I envision parents in the world of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 have to deal with whenever they bear a child. The awkward explanation of what the written number means on the horizon, and just how short they really get to live. I did the math and it says 17. 17 short years of living if they were born at the time when the game's events happened. The characters in Clair Obscur Expedition 33 are very aware of this. In fact, it's one of the first things the game tells you. The love story between Gustav and Sophie ended due to Sophie not wanting to bring kids into a world with no future. Some might say that this is antinatalist, but is it really? Where does the line of antinatalism stop and where does common sense start? Wouldn't it be common sense not to want to have kids knowing they'd only live 17 years? Well, I don't know. I believe that's among you guys to discuss because that's not the main topic of this video. This video is about death and knowing the time of your death. Imagine being in the world of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. You just found out that you're going to die once you reach a certain age. Does that give you peace? Maybe comfort? Or does it shroud you in fear and agony, knowing your death's certainty? A research paper published in 2011 tried, albeit partially, to answer that question. The study asked nurses and family caregivers of 475 deceased patients in the southwest of the Netherlands to fill out questionnaires. The two groups were asked whether a patient had been aware of the imminence of death. Medical records of the patients were also screened for statements indicating whether they were aware of what was coming for them. What's interesting about the study is a comment from the family caregivers. According to them, those who knew of their death were significantly more often in peace with dying and felt more often that life had been worth living. Now, remember that I mentioned it only answered the question partially. Because, see, the average age of the deceased persons was 76 years at the time of their death, just a little over the average life expectancy in the world. These people have lived longer lives than even the people who were sent on the 33rd expedition. 76 years of life is very long compared to 17 years, which would have been the case for babies born when Sophie and the others had co-marched. A research paper in 2015 might give us a closer idea regarding what the kids in Lumiere might be feeling after finding out their fate, as the paper aimed to understand just how aware terminally ill children and adolescents are when it comes to their death. What they found out was that young terminally ill patients have become increasingly aware of still being alive, wanting to live life to the fullest. Additionally, they also want to go out and meet other children who are not ill. Adolescents have become interested in and have concerns about sex. The paper noted that their desire to continue with things that are important to them may coexist with feelings that they are losing their role or even their worth in life. But despite these complexities, young people often show remarkable resiliency in the face of death and want to get the most out of the remaining time that they have. Time is the currency of life. Each person is unknowingly assigned a set amount of time at birth. For us, that amount is a mystery, but in Clair Obscur, it's etched on the monolith. And to be quite honest, I think I prefer the latter, with a certain caveat. The caveat I mentioned is that I'm only fine with it if I know it's going to be quite a long time before it happens. If I knew I was going to die at 80, then I'd be more at peace with that fact rather than finding out that I only have 17 years left to live. I believe knowing the time of your death allows you to manage what time you have left. A lot of people who died young due to accidents and other related things often mention that they believe they didn't live long enough to do what they wanted, and that they have quite a lot of regrets. All this discussion about knowing your death made me reflect on a more personal experience with mortality. Not even a year ago, I lost my beloved grandmother. She was diagnosed with interstitial lung disease. For those unaware, those found with it only have a life expectancy of 3 to 5 years after diagnosis. When I was young, this did not translate properly to my brain. I had zero idea what the implications were, and I had no idea what the disease did. Only a couple of years later was everything revealed to me, and I had the time to digest everything. I was, and still am, young. I have no idea how to process something like that. Things only felt real when I saw her health rapidly decline with my own eyes. From being fine without an oxygen tank following her around, to being bedridden, not even able to walk a short distance to the toilet without running out of breath. Seeing that automatically started the grieving process, whether I liked it or not. This meant that I had close to half a decade to go through each of the stages of grief, and I cannot tell you whether I've really accepted what had happened. For all I know, me writing this script might be another way for me to grieve and to process my emotions. And I think it's the same with Clair Obscur. You don't get to choose when to grieve. You start grieving the moment you press new game. Your playtime lets you process your emotions, and at the end of it all, a choice awaits. Do you accept the truth, or will you keep turning a blind eye? This is an important question to ask, not just for us, but also for those who come after.